batatukuba
ate batukubira ki StreamYard twalisasula
anti copyright
Ankebereko wano katono ndabe what's it
okay
say
all right
StreamYard doing the music background
kamale okugitambuza wonna
okay we're gonna tandika in 2 minutes
okay
3 or 4 just yeah
all right okay Ndoza mazo gatayo I believe echa addinga nenga I believe in a few minutes or seconds egana kube maze
akanda banje okafunye
kwebuli kuli konna kwebuli
okay
ku page kwebuli bonna
okay kakati kale basewo ne banyabo tubalamusiza tubaniriza ku kyoto thank you very much for joining us anga bulijjo tubeera ne weekly program yaffe eno where we go through the news that has made amawulire agabadde gatambula ennyo ku social media naddala mu struggle nga tulilayinga nnyo ku mawulire naddala agabeera gali ku what do you call it agabeera gali ku page ya gundi ya His Excellency
President
as well as agabeera ku National Unity Platform nga tugenda kubanga tutandikiranga then afterwards akanaba keetaaga okwogerako nga kabaddewo nnyo then tuba tusobola nako okwogerako leero ndiwo ne muganda wange mukulu JB Muwonge saba sebo olamuse ku batuuliriza n'abatulaba eyo gye bali sebo
abatuuliriza n'abali mutulaba ku mikutu egy'enjawulo kwetoloola street eno ya Facebook mwebale kubeerayo mwebale kugoberera nsonga every now and then yes nga muganda wange Fazil bw'abanyonyodde programu y'olwaleero ey'okuyita mu biki ebifudde mu week especially amawulire president gazzenga tu-updatingako posts zazzenga akola eziyitidde ku page n'eziyitidde ku page eya National Unity Platform n'emikulu gyaffe egy'enjawulo naye nga specifically amawulire agadde mu wiiki z'ensonga ze tugenda okwogerako olunaku olwaleero era nga ndowooza muganda wange Fazil engeri gye tutalina budde buwanvu tutandike
tutandike kyolina gy'olaga wafumbye endiga nti egenda kuwola oyagala kubanga odduka mbadde manyi Sande
data mutono abantu nange tulina okukola ki data si mungi ennaku zino internet bagiteekako omusolo gwa 20% buli sente z'ouploadinga ku simu ye basalako 20%. Can you imagine?
Batulekemu nabo balina okwefiiriza kale kakati baganda baffe mwebale nnyo okujoininga okubanga mutulaba. Twagala nnyo okuleeta programs kakati eziri based on facts, program eziri based ku kiki ekiriwo, nga twagala nnyo okwogera nga nammwe mulabako. Tetuli wano okubalowooleza oba kubawa biki. Jebikendezaako ka music mu background kati tetuliwo wano kubalowooleza oba kulaba nti nno tubabuulira ekyokukola, wabula ffe tupresentinga ekiriwo, mwe ne mwefunira oba ne mwejjiramu, and then ne mwefunira ekyo kye muba mukolamu in one way or the other. Mukulu JB Bumonge, without further ado, wiki ewedde twali ne Mwami Moshi okuva ku ground. We twali twogera ku Mwami Moshi, twayita mu posts ezaali zikoleddwa wiiki eyo. Era post gye twakomako ye y'okuba nti omu ku basajja ab'amaanyi ennyo amanyikiddwa nga Ssembuule eyatuva ku maaso wiiki ewedde, yaziikibwa, era omukulu Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, His Excellence, yaliyo, era waliwo ne statements ezaakolebwa omukulu amanyikiddwa nga Katumba Wamala n'ebifaananako ng'ebyo. Wadde twalinaayitawo wiiki ndala, era wetwogera olunaku lwaleero Bank Governor wa Uganda, omukulu amanyikiddwa nga Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebire, naye atufudde ku maaso okuva mu ddwaliro e Nairobi. Era omukulembeze kino kyo akyogeddeko. Naye njagala tusooke tuyitemu mu posts ez'enjawulo ze yawandiiseeko okuviira ddala olunaku lwe twasembayo okulaba nti apostinze. Ezimu tujja zibuuka, then endala tujja kuba nga tuziadingako. Kale, without further ado, eno posti yakoleddwa ennaku z'omwezi nga 15 January, eyogera ku yet another, yagala nti yet another, I think oyinza okusomeramu abantu abo.
Yali ekwatagana kulimba mukwano gwe era confident we lwe yakuba Nubian Lee. Yet another great musical tune from my brother Nubian Lee. Thank you for the edutainment. Teguba mukisa. Make it a point to watch the full video here. I think Yateka test a snippet of the entire video. Nenga, I managed actually to click on the link and I went in video nenjiraba. Yona lulimba nendu labulungi nnyo. Nga engombo ya Firebase oba engombo ya People Power nti music gwetufulumya takyali just for entertaining purposes, but is an edutainment kind of music. Era nga wotunuliramu actually ne kuba revolutionary artists baffe abenjawulo bangi, oba wotunuliramu actually music yenna afulumye okuva mu campaign ya People Power. Music ali edutainment okutandikira ddala ku baana abasookera ddala okufulumya ennyimba eza People Power n'okutuuka kati. So olimba luno oluwuliriza lulimu message enkulu ennyo eri baganda baffe abatatuuza nniya nga ye ajja genda asoobereza buli sikaati gy'alabye. Teguba mukisa. So I don't know, oyinza okwongerezaawo naawe, simanyi oba oluyimba walulaba.
I think nze kyendaba is nti because okulaba nga mukulu Nubian Lee akola solo nga terimu nnyo Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. I think that is also a message out there. Okulaba nti Nubian Lee naye atandika okukola, I think, some of these solo tracks okubanga carrying on with the musical career. And I believe nti whereas nti politics naye of course abadde kuba Nubian Lee naye kenyini takyakola, as you can see nti talina mulimu, ate abadde relyinga nnyo ku tunes zabadde bazanya ne Bobby Wine. Most people don't understand nti Bobby Wine olwokuba nti takola, n'abantu abalala abalinga bamudependinga as a musician nabo tebakyakola. Ojjukira nti yakubanga Shrey Busaabala na biki ebyo byonna. That entire Busaabala economy is literally trashed. Busaabala economy yonna kakati abantu tebakyakola. Definitely abakolanga ku bivvulu ebyo, abatundanga ffene, ice cream and all this kind of stuff. Kakati eyo ne economy nfu. Kati olabanga the other point is ekinalabamu mu music muno kati is the idea nti, because I was doing mbadde ngoberera ebintu bingi nnyo okutunula how, because if we have people who are really doing research in Uganda, simanyi lwaki tebakola research ku bintu bino ebimu. Mfo kyokola research ku simanyi population ni katanga biki, They should be looking in research on how Bobby Wine has changed the entire music industry. Literally, the music industry yonakati eri overhauled. Tokyayinza kumala gayimba bintu and people just take them on. Okitegeera. So that is really interesting because the idea nti mukulu Kyagulanyi bafulumya zino ennyimba ze bayita edutainment ejja kusanga bannaysayers n'abantu of course abacriticizing naye si bulungi bajja kuvuma kati ennyimba mukuba zaaki mwekubisa ennyimba tuli mu struggle teri muntu yali ajjeeko ennyimba nze I always have one question for them kyensembyayo wezibanga ennyimba tezirina makulu mu struggle nga tezisobola kujjako nakyemalira tezirina kyezongerako lwaki bazibaninga ozikuba lwaki buli alukuba ku street bamukuba emiggo
nebawamba ebizindalo byabwe kitegeeza music yakola kitegeeza kiina ekyamaanyi kyekigera kuba neda Fazil eyo nkola ndala kuba malamu maanyi oba kumalamu bana abayimbi abalala abato amaanyi kuba oli bwanajja n'akivumirira n'agamba nti kuba nawulira jjo nga bayogera oluyimba lwogenda Bobi Wine yasimbiyo kuba president waffe nti ogenda simanyi biki luyimba teluyina mu makulu and all that kind of thing naye ojja kwegendereza nga abantu abali mu kwogera ebigambo ebyo era beebo ba regime apologists beebo abatayagala Museveni agende so their aim of course is to derail omuntu omulala n'abaayo okwagala okuyingiramu eyo line producing music naye nga ekirungi kya byonna nti abaana bakarinze on nze right now nyina tracks ndowooza nga 5 zesitana bakolera videos nga zonna nyimba za struggle abaana baliyo bafulumya kubanze nabagaba bazisindike video tuzikolera bwereere abaana bo bamanyi tebanyina sente so ng'ogatta bugasi bifaananyi n'ogatta videos oluyimba ne luvaayo nga tumuggyeko yadde olwataano ate music message neetambula nnyo kuba music yona atambula nnyo nga wa video ogenze n'ogamba nti Nubianira okubeera nga atandise okukola solo I believe abadde akola solo for all along tokyajjukira oluyimba yakuba recently olwa tusaabala lyato naye yali n'ennyimba endala mpitirivu nnyo so I believe the task of trying to change the direction of our music industry from kidandala bino kyakubiddewa biki to edutainment omulimu bagukoze bulungi nnyo bagukoledde ddala bulungi yep.
Okay, so your post in Uganda by the way guys, you go subscribe to the YouTube and also make sure you watch the video mubenga mulaba video yempya egambibwa eyitibwa Teguba Mukisa era I don't think it waliwo abakulu abafulumyanga zilisti ebyo byonna Bobi Wine yabiwonya abayimbi oli n'atuula omuyimbi ssebo kiringa nga Messi wanaatuula n'agaa kakate ne listi yange nze nga Lionel Messi abasambi b'omupiira abansingidde mu mwaka Bobi Wine saagala bayidayo kubeera oluusi njagala nnyo okubeera balance because most people think nti ebintu byenjogera oba biki but these are things evident that people should always look into noga nti has the music industry in Uganda changed for better or for worse Shitegera omusajja yawonyeza abantu bilist number 1 number 2 kakati because of Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu the government is spending so much money on artists naye ate ekikusesa nti Ugandan Museveni ne banne ate tebaagala ba artists beekuŋŋaanye babeere kitole era ojja kulaba balina bugurupu kano balina bugurupu kali ate ng'obusiru bwabwe saagala kozesa kigambo ekyo naye mu butabetegeera kwabwe kye batamanyi nti okwegatta ge maanyi singa beegattanga abayimbi ate baba basobola okubeera n'eddoboozi eddene n'okuba nti nno bingi nnyo bye bayinza okuba nga batuukako n'okusinga okuba nga banonooza obwo obusente obutonotono ate nga bakimanyi bulungi nti omuntu yekka asobola obbagatta essaawa ya leero ye mukulu Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu naye ekyo tebaagala kikkiriza kuba abasinga beefuula oba baagala okulaga nti nno bo b'amaanyi n'okumusinga naye lewe Katonda ye yamuteekako feva nti buli amwekoonako yagwa ennaku z'omwezi nga 16 January yawandiika obubaka buno obuga nti a committed young man with a young beautiful family and big dreams but a committed young man with a young beautiful family and big dreams but you put all that aside for the sake of your country. You mean a lot to so many Ugandans, but you mean extra to me as a person. You took the shot that was meant for me. You stood in a line of danger to perform your duty as a journalist and expose injustice meted on the people of Uganda by the evil Museveni regime. They sentenced you to death, but God had a different plan. You're such a great reminder of the power of God. You are a miracle. Being able to celebrate your birthday once again is an assertion that even if the dictator Museveni is dead, we shall live for as long as God has a purpose for our lives here on earth. Happy birthday, Kasiri Ashraf. Number one, JB, what is the purpose of these birthdays? Lwaki omukulu ateeka birthday ku page ze? Lwaki celebrating birthdays z'abantu? Because abantu baga nti kino kirimu makulu ki. Gwe mu ndabayo ey'ebintu kiki ky'olaba?
First of all, omukulembeze okuddamu direct question tamala gateekayo birthday ya buli muntu. They are a selected group of people. Ojja kwekanganga buli lunaku wabeerayo birthday ey'abantu baffe, bacomrades baffe bennyini abali mu struggle. Naye si buli muntu nti ayinayo birthday omukulembeze agenda muwanika ku mutimbagano amu appreciating oba I'm wishing a happy birthday. They are a selected a few abafuna that opportunity eyo bagifuna olw'ensonga emirimu gye bakoledde struggle. It's like a form of recognition, nze mu ndabe yange, n'okuzzaamu omuntu oyo amaanyi nti kyonna kyakola kirengerwa era kyamaanyi nnyo. Kati nga example eya muganda waffe Ashraf Kasirye, ndowooza ye journalist mu struggle eno asinze ndowooza okufeesinga obuzibu obw'amaanyi ennyo, ng'era obuzibu bwasinga yabufuna nga 27 December, if I remember very well, 2020, bwe baamukuba ng'ovudde ku byeruka nga 18 bwe baamufuuyira mu maaso, baamugaziya akamwa ne bamuyiira chemical mu kamwa, olubuto ne, that day. Naye on the 27th of December 2020 baamukuba ekisasi ku mutwe, akawanga ne kajjako obulabe, nti n'okutuuka ku ssaawa eno Ashraf Kasirye gw'olaba tasobola kuggyako headgear eyo, tasobola kusala nviiri oyo gw'olaba ku ssaawa eno. Ekintu ekyo kyatadde ku mutwe tasobola kijjako. Wakijjako empewo awulira ng'emuyitamu mu matu nedda side zeeno nedda side, kwegamba abeera unconscious, tasobola kusalako nviiri musajja wattu oyo gw'olaba, tasobola kutuula ku mashini ne bamusala enviiri. Naye byonna yabifuna olw'obutemu bw'abasajja ba Museveni, kwegamba bwe baameetinga ku bacomrades baffe ab'enjawulo, abamu ne batufanako nga Franka Senteza olunaku lwe baakuba Ashraf Kasirye ne Franka Senteza bwe baamukuba, bwe baamutomera military truck yamutomera ne mufotola okutuusa mu ddwaliro nga yafudde dda. So such a gentleman eyaleka nga post soko ogizeeko waggulu katono positive nga bwegambye, soko giscrollingeko katono kuba agambye president nga atandika post on a committed young man with a young beautiful family and big dreams. Buli muntu ayina dreams era buli muntu kati nga ku myaka gye ayina family, such a beautiful family. Ebyo byonna yabizze ebbali for the sake of Uganda. Abantu bwe batyo tebasangika. Mukulu Faziro okimanyi bulungi nti nno bantu bangi abagwa mu ttuluba eri Akashirye Ashraf. Bayitirivu nnyo ba journalist abamusinga experience, abamusinga obumanyirivu, bagamba abamusinga ettutumu. Naye nga tebasobola kukola ekyo Ashraf kye yakola oba kyakola. Nga akatengo kangi obanga babaliisa oba kwegamba, of course there are always very many factors that hinder such a person to come out and speak against the injustices, against the rampant kidnaps, against all the atrocities the Museveni dictatorship has caused to this our country Uganda. So is such a person aba yetaaga mbutuufu okurecognizingibwa, kwegamba aba yeetaagira ddala ate ng'ogenda kikola ddi olunaku olwa birthday mu bulamu bw'omuntu lunaku lukulu nnyo, lunaku lukulu nnyo. I believe it is such a day lw'oyinza okulaga omuntu oyo omukwano gw'oyina eriye. Oba tokoseza lunaku olwo sirabayo lunaku lulala lw'oyinza kukozesa kumulaga mukwano. Oyinza okwongerezaawo.
I think the other thing is that you took a shot for me, a shot that was meant for me to essase lyali lirina okuba Bobi Wine ate ne likwata the tear gas canister that was aimed for him. I think this is like almost the second time or the third time. Emmotoka ye waliwo webaagikuba amasasi era webaali bava oba side ze mu Eastern Uganda. Then endala ye yali the incident yaliwo eya Kawuma Yasin webaali Lila. Is it Lila? Arua. Webaali Arua. So you see that there is so many people abafudde in this path and so many people ababonyebonye in this particular path. You see, the other thing is that there is no page in Uganda that has more engagement as Bobi Wine's page. There's a lot of engagement. And whenever he puts someone on his page, definitely it gains a lot of attention. Because I think even if you go into his analytics, there is different people following him from different parts of the world. And kitegeeza nti whatever is posted it's not just seen by just anyone oba muti by Uganda bokka, but even the Kenyans wateekayo post ogenda okulaba bannakenya bapostinga, Zimbabweans, Zambia, so many people are posting.
Nigeria,
yeah. So it is quite fascinating, really fascinating. And I don't know, but if I should say this, there's what I saw, and I think JB, you have also seen this. Whenever I got the other video that I did, like there are some phone calls I got of people that would like, okay, they were appreciating the work, but they wanted to get in touch to work on certain other issues. Bagamba nti tulina kye twagala okukola to help okulwanirira eddembe mu Uganda, which was quite interesting. And I was like, okay. And I just knew where this actually came from. So Comrade Kasirye, biwanvu naye Comrade Kasirye okuba nti of course omukulu kiraga nti omukulu akyamujjukira. And the other thing Sandy agadde kola comparison yen, but let me also say it. Like, of course, Museveni is trying to catch up with social media, but social media has the bought Eliato Yamuleka. People like Kano Dr. Kizabes Jeweraza is trying Eliato Yamuleka. Like, it's really hard. There is no engagement that you're going to get on social media. Nga esinge Robert Chagulanyi Center, Bobi Wine's page. It's not going to happen anywhere. So I think it's very paramount to be to be posted on one of the most, not one of, but the most engaged page. You know what engagement means? Nadalamu social media, I think you do understand. By engagement, we mean okubanti posti abaji commentinzeko bangi, posti abaji sharinze bangi, posti abaji reactinzeko bangi. That's what it means with engagement. So we wish a quick recovery to Comrade Kasirye, and we also wish him a happy birthday. Katwalwe posti, I think you can make a few comments here as well.
Yeah, okay. Posti egambye posti yagikola yagikola 17 January this year, this week actually. Egamba, this is Comrade Kasim Migadde. He has spent the past 1 year and 1 month at Chitalia Minimax prison. On December 10th, 2020, he was picked by a drone from Kajansi and taken to Mbuya military facility, where he spent several days being tortured. He was then charged before the General Court Martial for putting on a red beret. He has spent a full year and 1 month under illegal detention. Today, he was released on bail with stringent conditions. Such young man taken away from his family and his work for a full year for no crime whatsoever. we still have hundreds of our people stuck in prisons over the same bogus charges. Soko scrolling. I am grateful to our legal team, which continues to do their best under difficult conditions to help our comrades in detention. Ultimately, we shall overcome, free all political prisoners. Bwetyo posti bwe yagamba era nga mu Luganda oba okugiddamu mu Luganda oba Mwami Fazil oyinza okugiddamu mu Luganda.
I think wano abadde ayogera ku muganda waffe bamuyita Kasimu Migadde yakwatibwa omwaka gumu n'omwezi gumu emabega. I think that is around December last year. Nga tugenda mu kalulu bakamuta juzi bamukwatira mu zino drone ezaali ziyoola abaana, so bakamuta butya juzi nga bamaze omumukuba bamukyuyiza n'ebifaanana ng'ebyo. Tutegeezezza nti bantu bangi nnyo baganda baffe abakyali mu makomera bakyasibiddwa olw'ebisango ebitategeerekeka era ebitaliimu n'amakulu mu ngeri emu oba endala. Oyo ye muganda waffe Migadde nga bamaze okuba nti ateebwa okuva mu kkomera. Abantu bano ekikusesa, most of these people you don't even know them. Naddala ffe abali ku social media. Some of them tubalaba bulabi, we don't know them. Abamu oluusi we can just castigate comments tetubategedde. So what we see here is by posting these people, talking about these people, what Bobi Wine is trying to show and what the National Unity Platform is trying to communicate is for us not to forget these people. Nokubanga tubamanya. Because whenever you do not know, abantu bano bwobanga tubamanyi, kituleetera okuba nti tukola statements ze tutategeera. Because there are so many people tutamanyawo ku secretariat. So many people abakwatiddwa nga tetumanyi kikira kyabakwasa. Kitegeera. Abaali balina omulimu gwe bakoleyo mu background. Newankubadde twali tetubalaba wano ku face.
Example giwera kube bakwatanga 30th December 2020. There were over 120. But how many do you know?
I cannot even list a single name. Sijja kulimba.
Osobola okulistingayo batono nnyo ba Erimutwe ba
Erimutwe
ba Bobby Yanga.
Those ones are well
known. Mutalia. Yeah. Naye tosobola kulistinga 30. I bet you. Yeah.
Ne bali 12 be bawandiika bonna abaali arrested
all over the country.
Yeah. But also to be able to document those people, no kubanga mukyalina amanya gaabwe, that is impressive, man. Like okuba mu struggle nga people, but like literally remembering all those people, 2,000 people who were arrested. It's not something easy. For me, is another anti chili quite impressive to be able to remember each and most of the people that have been arrested. Because by knowing them, you can fight for them and you give them a chance to to live to die another day. By the time you get out, kiza nokubeera ekizibu. Nzijukira waliwo omuvubuka twali awo Makerere nga tuli ku muzikiti tumaze n'okusaala. I think zaisanga 11. Kati omuvubuka najja awo n'atugamba nti mwana mundaba wano n'akava luzira. N'atugamba nti baali baamukwata ku bya Buganda riots
2009.
I think it was around 2014, 13 or something like that. Nagiseewo n'akava luzira kati. Abasajja baatukwata mu bya Buganda riots, tetulina kye twali tukoze, twali innocent. Ne batusiba abaana bangi babasiba bakyaliyo even up to today. Abasinga n'okubamanya tebabamanyi. Like that's how these people behave. Tibakwata ne bakusiba nga n'ekikusibisiza tokimanyi, oluusi oyinza okuba nga oli innocent, ogayi yatugamba bamusanga na busanza awo ku dduuka ne bamutwala ne basiba paka bwe baawulira nti bamusibye ekimala ne balyoka bamuta. And I think that is also what is happening with most of our foot soldiers and comrades abali mu struggle. It is sad, naye nze abaana abali ku ground mbagirako enkofiira man.
Abo nze sibazannyirako. Toyina na kubazannyirako, especially bavaayo on a daily basis to add something to this struggle. Kuba si kintu kyangu. Yeah. So kuba postinga, of course. Sokoddeyoko waggulu, waliwo kyenjagala okwongerezaako. Agambye nti we still have hundreds of our people stuck in prisons over the same bogus charges. I'm very sure omanyi bulungi nti baganda baffe bayitirivu nnyo okuli Olivia Lutaya, ba Machete, ba Kato. Waliwo abaana be bakwatira embaale tebalabika nnyo mu mawulire olw'ensonga nti nga wokimanyi nti no, it's not only in the central where or in the Buganda region where these illegal arrests took place. These illegal arrests, abductions and the kidnap of comrades affiliated to NUP, affiliated to National Unity Platform, People Power, it cut across the entire country. Only that there is too much media attention in the central, there is too much vigilance in the central. Even almost 90% of the bloggers, they do their vlogs in Uganda and they capture media, mainstream media stories if they happen to pick some lines from there. Era ziri wano ojja kwekanganga from places like Mbale, Lila, Jumani, Karamoja. There is a lot going on in Karamoja. Netogenda biraba nnyo wano olw'ensonga media teri yennyeri naye nga abaana baffe bayitirivu nnyo bakwatibwa bangi okwetoloola Uganda. Bayitirivu nnyo. Waliwo abaana abali e Masaka, singa Mosha abaddewo wano yandibadde alukuteerako. Faustina Masaba asobola okunnyonnyola abaana abali Embaale, ba strike machine asobola okunnyonnyola abaana abali Elira, abali eggulu. So this statement that we still have hundreds of our people stuck in prisons over the same bogus charges, it's a very powerful statement. Nti tagitaddewo buteesaawo nti tugisome busomi, wabula atusindikira message tukyayina baganda baffe bayitirivu nnyo abali mu makomera. So whoever can do something to make sure that we secure freedoms of these our comrades, tetuzikiza tukugamba toddeyo n'olowooza nti no bonna baavaayo. Nedda, bayitirivu nnyo bakyaliyo, nga n'abamu ku bo actually we don't know where they are. The likes of Damulira was kidnapped in November 2020, 23rd November 2020. Up to today, no one has ever heard from the gentleman again. The likes of John Bosco Chibalama, who was kidnapped in 2019 in June, up to today, no single person has ever heard from him again. And very many others. So, statement here that we still have hundreds of our people stuck in prisons over the same bogus charges. Bachali banji. So, tetuzikiza on the quest to find or make sure that the freedoms of our comrades tuzikola ki tujja achievinga. Tulemereko nga tukola kyonna ekisoboka. Oyinza okuba maybe oyagala kwongerezaako ng'olina ky'osembyayo kweyo ensonga naye nze nsobola yawo.
Yeah, I think you have wrapped it up well, and I think we should go to the next one here. Now, this one, addressing via Zoom, Human Rights Committee of the Italian Parliament about the ongoing grave violations and the need for the world to stop supporting a confessed military dictator. Do you have that video, or do you playing just that first 2 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, I have it. Let me.
Yes, please.
In just a few.
2 minutes, and then.
2 minutes nyingi.
2 minutes nyingi. Okay. Give us some sound.
Gondiano video yali wansi nnyo, maybe kanzulisemu kutuukira ddala ku
tuukira ddala wali we yayogerera. Wow. Ite tulina sound man.
Yali ntono nnyo naye.
D'accord.
Toyina kyowulira?
At all, 0.
Nze nga ate nyina byempulira. I hear.
Abantu babuulira oba balina kye bawulira naye
Guys, do you hear anything bina kye muwulira?
Tetulina kye tuwulira naye waliwo wano kenfunye.
Okay. Then kati awo
soko kajeyo.
Okay.
Alright, kanete kano. Wandibadde okayisaako wa eri mugundi n'okongezaamu
amplifying.
Okay, let me get this one. Waliwo kano kenfunye. Kati kano mbwira oba owulira
is not new to you.
Yep.
It's not new to you. Italy suffered alone under a dictator called Benito Mussolini for 21 years. But Uganda has suffered under the brutal oppression of General Museveni. For now, that
katuwulizeko dakiika 5.
beaten our papers free and then dumped in our homes, while other people were left were left for dead. That was just the beginning of the crudeness. It was the beginning of the irregularities. The entire campaign was marred with arrests, blocking of our campaign rallies. We were never allowed to address the population on radio or and neither were we allowed. Note that on the 18th and 19th of November last year, more than 150 people were killed. I'm mentioning only the number that was picked up by our human rights desk. It is believed that the deaths were much more than that, although the regime in Uganda only reported 54 deaths. On the day of election, I was put under house arrest. Even before the election day, on the 30th of November last year, my entire campaign team was rounded up on Kalangala Island and dropped into prison. Many of them had to stay in prison for more than 7 months, while others are still languishing in prisons. Many have not been brought to court, and the charges that have been preferred against them are bogus charges. On the day of election, the entire internet was blacked out in Uganda. Electricity was switched off. Radio stations were restricted from reporting the proceedings on the polling stations. And yes, General Museveni and his military had a field there. It is unfortunate to see that there is constant disinformation by General. While he reported that only 54 people were massacred by his forces, it is much more people that are reported. And also the disinformation goes further because as we will note that the Italian representative reported that the elections were largely peaceful, which indeed was not the case, as people were intimidated, killed, and others were abducted, never to be seen again. It will be noted also that the European Union and the United States sent election observers, but they were not allowed, and therefore these elections were not observed by they were observed by neither the United States observers nor the European Union observers. And indeed, the European Union Parliament went ahead to protest the legality of the elections, asserting that the elections were fraudulent and were not free and fair. And so did the United States State Department. Allow me to assert on the issue of human rights. Human rights have been blatantly abused by General Museveni's forces under his direct supervision, where he has come out many times, chest thumping and congratulating his soldiers for a job well done. Case in point is the November massacre, which General Museveni came out on national TV and congratulated his forces for a job well done. And indeed, General Museveni came out on national TV and mentioned that it was the SFC, the Special Forces Command, an outfit of the military that is commanded by his own son. He owned it, that it is the SFC soldiers that are abducting Ugandans, which abduction, I must mention, that is still ongoing. Journalists have been beaten, some have been killed, while one of them is still struggling to stabilize one Ashraf Kaside, who was shot by a projectile by the government police officer. Unfortunately, nobody has ever been brought to book. Now, talking about the November massacre, which was documented by the BBC, it is clear who shot the people. Even when General Museveni owned them, but they were covered on TV and broadcasted on BBC, has never been carried out. Neither has the prosecution been carried out by these perpetrators of extrajudicial murder. It is therefore surprising that the Italian ambassador was seen to visit the SFC and apparently have dinner with them. Remember, the SFC is the most dreaded and most feared section of the military that is responsible for broad day killings, broad day murders. And it was commanded then by General Museveni's son called Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is a military general also. Friends in the Italian parliament, allow me to mention that the world knows that fascism is not new to you, that oppression is not new to you. Italy suffered a lot under a dictator called Benito Mussolini for 21 years. But Uganda has suffered under the brutal oppression of General Museveni for now 36 years. Uganda is a rich country, rich in natural resources, rich in human resources, but the people of Uganda are poor. I want to beseech you not to continue being seen as a partner in crime. We know Italy is a world-renowned democracy. So I want to invite you to realize that the idea that dictators bring more stability in Africa than democracy is wrong. The European Union does not need a dictator to further its interest in Africa. We can live well as Africans. We can relate well with the European Union when we are free, when we are feeling as human as other people. We want to be accorded the same standards of human rights like the rest of the world, because it is argued that what General Museveni is doing to the people of Uganda cannot be accepted. If it was another country, particularly if it was a European country where General Museveni, where a leader does this, the people, then that dictator will not last long. We recognize that there are other dictators around the world, but these dictators, many of them are dictating over their people because they are self-sufficient. But General Museveni is completely dependent on Western financial and military aid. We cannot remove the dictator with our bare hands because we cannot stop the Italian bullets. And we request that we would rather be receiving Gucci from Italy than bullets. We would rather see the Italian population relate with the people of Uganda as human beings with the same standards of human rights. I will also mention that we have been requesting and we continue to request that the Italian government and indeed the whole European Union, holds General Museveni accountable and make the respect for democracy, respect for human rights, and the rule of law and social justice to make them preconditions for collaboration with Uganda. And where General Museveni is accountable, we request that the global Magnitsky is imposed on him. We call for sanctions against General Museveni and all his lieutenants who are involved in gross human rights abuses. We request that the
Yeah, Mkulu Fazil. Fazil.
Sorry. Yes. I think ako kajja kumala.
Era nagibadde ngenda kugamba nti kuba video yali mpanvu yali over 1 hour.
1 hour, yeah. But you see, omuntu okuwa 1 hour to speak to the European Parliament, that is a very big opportunity.
It was actually more than 1 hour.
Yeah, more than 1 hour. So to address the Parliament, it's not something easy. And the magnitude of such you see,
nga tonaba kutandika mbadde njagala maybe you wrap it up with this question. Very many people bagamba such kind of interviews oba engagements president zakola waliwo abagamba nti zili useless mbu tezirina kyezikola. Njagala explanation yo ebere guided by that if you can.
Now bagamba nti I don't think kino kijirawo naye walabye Muhoozi kyeyakoze n'agenda e Rwanda.
Nakirabye.
The thing of that gentleman going to Rwanda, it did not have any political value or interest, but rather most of the moves that these people make are reactionary to the moves that NUP does. This week, Bobi Wine spoke to the
Italian Parliament,
and that should have made news in Uganda, all over the country. Bobi Wine okwogera eri Parliament ya Italy. You think that is small, JB Muwonge? It's not.
Of course, it's not.
Now, amidst all that this week, ekino bayagadde bakibikke. Kati olwokuba bambi abantu baffe abasinga twagala nnyo kuba this was there, this happened on Tuesday. On Tuesday. Kati olwokuba n'abantu baffe abasinga baagala nnyo bino ebya gundi ani amuwadde obutwa bino biki and all this kind of stuff. Ekintu nga kino tebayinza kukiddaawo kukitambuza kukijanjawaza and all this kind of stuff. And the demands that Bobi Wine made to the Italian Parliament. Kyagulanyi has been accorded audience in the United States of America. He has been accorded audience in the European Union Parliament. Now, individual states like Italy are also according him the audience. Germany and all these other countries have all accorded him the audience that he desires, that he needs. You see the reason as to why twagenda mu kalulu aka 2021 election is the bedrock on which Bobi Wine can build his arguments to the international community to build a strong case on who Museveni really is. Now, for amateur political analysts, abatandise obutandisi wano ku Facebook olw'okuba watulaba naffe tukola live, wajja najja n'ayogera ebintu ye abirabanga wabiraba tebategeera international relations. They do not understand the games that nations play. Oyo ekitabo omusajja yakiwandiika mweraide yawandiika ekitabo kibayita games nations play. Kitegeera nti countries naddala zino eza foreign relations is a game of interests. The idea nti kati we are seeing Bobi Wine penetrating through and being given audiences in these countries, something that we had almost never heard of. Kitegeeza nti the interests of these nations are being threatened. At least he has punctured Museveni's legitimacy in the West. As we speak today, Museveni's legitimacy in Washington is not good at all. Foreign policy, foreign relations or international relations. It is not good. No government, a legitimate that is democratic in the West, eyagala okubanga they associate with Museveni. Kyova olaba we bagenda aba European Union okusisinkana Museveni, okusisinkana leader of opposition Mathias Mpuuga, era ndaba wano ebivubukavubuka ebibeera kuno ku internet nga bivuma Mpuuga. Ebivubukavubuka biri awo sibimanyi na bannya gaabi. But these are people
babitegeera abatera okulaba live ezo babategeera.
It is good that we have people who go there and just listen and look, because bagala just sensationalism. And you find someone in the UK, in the US, who has applied for visa, who has written a visa application, who has worked in different jobs. You know, Omutugo knows that he is intelligent.
He's exposed.
He's exposed enough. Naye nga awuliriza omuyaayi ayogera olw'okuba Mpuuga.
N'amuwa credit.
N'agamba nti gundi yatugambye.
N'amukolerako nga reference. This gentleman cannot even analyze or cannot even tell you any element of diplomacy, cannot tell you the role of the European Union in Uganda, cannot even dissect anything over legislative agenda mukulu Mpuuga gy'awandiise, the abstract ties agikunyonnyola. And that is the same gentleman you're getting your hadith from. Yoyo omuntu gojjako hadith. Abasajja baabo we bagenda okusisinkana Mwami Mpuuga. Mwami Mpuuga bagamba Mpuuga, mugambe ku bavubuka bammwe aba social media balekerawo Twitter friends of the dictator. Lwaki abantu batita mikwano gwa dictator? Ekintu ekyo kyabanyiiza. To this day, omwami oyo gwe bayita Pacific, akulira European Union delegation mu Uganda, yanyiiga okubanga twamuyita friends of the dictator. Pacific Ocean or Pacific oyo. Kitegeeza ate ojja kwegendereza akalulu olwaggwa ambassador wa Italy mu Uganda yagenda n'asisinkana Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Wamala okusisinkana Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Muhoozi n'akuteekayo ebifaananyi ku internet. Muhoozi n'agenda n'asisinkana ambassador wa Germany mu Uganda. Ebifaananyi nabyo n'abisuulayo. We were following all these events. But all these were more of photo opportunities to show to the world the reason as to why these people take pictures. A picture speaks 1,000 words. The reason as to why they take these pictures is to show the world it. Now, the thing that you don't have access to is what is being discussed. Meeting wakati wa Muhoozi ne ambassador bano. Ekitegeera. Kakati kiriwo ekikyengezaako kutegeeza naddala ku meeting eno. Oba sorry ku address omukulu gye yakoze. Ina kyenjagala era okuyingizaawo about the same.
The address Muhoozi wa meeting ambassador. Ate ne tulaba nga Bobi Wine ageze n'ayogerako eri parliament ya Italy. Ekya parliament ekyomukulu okwogera eri parliament ya Italy kikuba ekya Muhoozi okubanga yasisinkana ambassador wa Italy. Kiwulira kiba kikuba down.
Naye nga biyinza n'okukomparingibwa.
And you can compare it because an ambassador kale tuga nti ya representing our interests there, naye nga he doesn't have the final say. He's just like any other civil servant in any other state. Okitegeera naye obanga ofunye okwogerako eri ba parliamentarians addressinga parliament kinene nnyo because it traverses political dispensations mu Italy. Nti aba opposition n'aba pro-government ne pro-opposition obafunye in the same room n'oyogera gye bali n'obabuulira kitegeeza nti oba obagasse ku nsonga bayinza okuba nga baawukanye ku nsonga mpitirivu akantu kabuze gwakajeeyo
no, yeah, just interview
bayinza okuba nga obagasse bayinza okuba nga baawukana ku nsonga mpitirivu naye ku nsonga eno we bajja ne babeera n'oba addressinga basobola okuba nga bakoze kibazze wamu kankuwa ekyokulabeko kimu nga you are coming in on this point mu America omusajja baali bamuyita Benjamin Netanyahu ku mulembe gwa Obama baali baawukanye ne Netanyahu nga tebakwasaganye ku nsonga za Iran. Obama malakole kye baali baliyita Iran nuclear deal. The Iran nuclear deal was the idea nti America yali egenda kusasula Iran a certain amount of money so that Iran can slow down its nuclear program. Kubanga the nuclear program singa Iran yagenda maaso developing, it would threaten the security of Israel. So what Obama decided yagaa nti tukwate Iran eno tujiwe sente so that erekeraawo okukola ki oku extracting aluminium n'okuba nti ekola ki n'okuba nti extract aluminium n'okuba nti enriching aluminium ne enriching nuclear program yabo kubanga etambula because Iran wanted to make nuclear weapons. Israel negamba you cannot do that. Netanyahu naga nti wonoomuwa ssente atojja kubanga akikola ki akyongeramu amaanyi n'omuliro kyolina okukola Iran tulina girumba tugikube hands down. That is what it should be. So they deferred on how to approach the Iran nuclear program, of which Obama's program, of course, went through. Naye, the Republicans, who are the more pro-Israel, chebakolo chimanyi, ne bagamba Netanyahu tukutegekeddeyo omusomo ojje oyogereko eri Senate eya America. Era Netanyahu najja mu nsi ey'Obama. Netanyahu kulaga amaanyi aga legislative arm of the government season. Kitegere nti Netanyahu najja nga so Obama yamuyise wabula nga Senate eya America yemuyise eyali eyabagondi ba Republicans. Era Netanyahu najja na addressing ensi so na addressing a Senate ekyanyizo kaba okufaako obufi because by addressing the Senate Obama was undermined. Era kyawa Netanyahu mileage especially amongst the Republicans okuba nti no kyaleetawo a very big divide in the American politics on how to approach the Iran nuclear deal. By Netanyahu giving that speech mu Senate n'abaali tebategedde ensonga eno ya Iran nuclear deal bagitegeera bulungi. Agala kugamba nti nina side ku program eno, but what I'm trying to explain here is obukulu bw'okwogera eri these particular institutions. Era olaba Trump we yajja, one of his first reforms gye yakola kwe kusazaamu ddiiro eyo n'okutuuka essaawa ya kakati that deal eri started eri awo nga bweri. So bwe obukulu bw'okwogerako eri parliament ng'ezo mukulu jebbi.
Anti abantu baffe kibalina okumanya nyina kye njagala okubuuza about the same naye kansooke mpiseewo akantu kano. Abantu baffe kibalina okumanya nti institutions nga zino mu nsi zino ez'enjawulo teziri defunct nga bwe ziri wano ewaffe. Uganda nga ye mukimanyi bulungi tesobola kweyimirizaawo nga yo era erina kufuna obuyambi. Museveni alina kuperereza abantu nga bano bamufunira obuyambi asobole okuyimirizaawo eggwanga. Kyagulanyi kyakugamba president waffe recently mu press conference yabadde Kamocha nti bagenda kukola kyonna ekisoboka okutemako amagulu ga Museveni agayimiridde mu nsi zino ez'enjawulo agasakayo obuyambi agamuyimirizaawo okusigala nga akyatulugunya ensi akyatulugunya bana Uganda bagenda gatemako. Tebagenda gatemako just out of the blue. Engagement singa zino zezigenda okuleetawo kugamba ekintu ng'ekyo olw'ensonga institution ng'eno parliament ng'eno ya Italy oba engagement zafuna ne ba parliamentarians ab'ensi endala. Parliament ezo ziri independent era resolutions zeziyisa ziri respectingibwa. Singa wane e Uganda fe tumanyidde bino ebyaffe wane e Uganda parliament wejja okuyisa resolution naye ebeere nga teri respected at all. It is not the case bwe tugenda mu nsinga ezo. Njagala ku Lufaziro kamala okulaba oba yeah, it is here. Kyagulanyi no teyagenda yekka. Let me first actually remove this and yeah, here it is. Omuvubuka ono ndowooza mujjukira bulungi. Omuvubuka ono mujjukira bulungi.
Oh yeah.
Omulaba omuvubuka ono abatereka ebifaananyi kuba naddayo nina video gye ndi mukola nga mprofilinga baganda baffe abatiddwa mu struggle eno nga ngenda I explain how what led to their death and who killed them and all that kind of thing. N'abantu nga bana bafuna obulabe nga buno. Naye nabadde noonyereza ku muvubuka ono Luzige, nagudde ku bifaananyi by'engeri gye baamukubamu. Faziru baakuba omuvubuka ono, baamwasa omumwa ogwo gw'olaba nga w'omulaba ku screen yawo, amannyo ne gayiika bwe gati, kino kyonna 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 ekitundu. Oyinza obbiraba ebifaananyi ebyo. Kati omuvubuka ono president yali naye ng'ayadressinga Italian parliament era yafuna omukisa bulungi nnyo n'abanyumiza sitoole ye. Era mbadde njagala kubuuza goyinza kyogerako kyekyo kyamakulu ki ekiri awo okubeera nti president yalina okubeera nga accompanied by such a person like Luzige?
No, I think this is evidence. Luli obadde ng'oyogera Museveni mubi, Museveni atta abantu, Museveni akola kino, Museveni akola kiri. And most of these things have not been documented. Most of these things have not been covered. But now we are seeing the power of the mobile phone, the power of pictures, the power of media. We were journalists we bagana okola omulimu gwabwe. Oba we baba nga bali gagged. The population will find a way. Citizen journalism will kick in. Abantu bajja kuleta ebintu ebiri unfiltered in real time. Ate buli woba nga building a case with evidence. There is no way to beat that. You can't. Eshtegera, wengamba nti omusajja wuno baamukuba omumwa. And how can you beat that? Tosobola. Woga nti Museveni yabba omululu, abantu battibwa, 54 people were killed last year. Eshtegera. Where is the evidence? No, the monitor covered them. Museveni yamala nakkiriza nti ddala baabatta. Not justice. Kakati, for example, woba oyogera ku massacres. No, let us talk about the Mukola massacres that are happening. You cannot get those pictures. You cannot get that footage because it's you. Whereas the stories are there, people can speak about the stories, but at times people can doubt the story that you're telling them. Here is evidence. Yes, they busted his lips. Here it is. What do you have to say? Here is. This is what it is doing. So, literally, what you're saying is, how do you feel about that? So, it is very important. It is very important. And that really means a lot.
We rather get Gucci from you, but not guns.
And also, the other thing is that I'm told that he told them in that meeting that also the Italian. In that meeting, also, Italy asked why the Italian ambassador has not told them about the violence in Uganda and why they were still giving them weapons. Yes, thank you very much for the Dr. Nichols who created You Vote Up, the one that got our comrade to call on and other interviews and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. I think we can roll on to the next few
next question.
Okay.
So,
oh, flip. And I think we're gonna sabula mukoka mangu and then we can maybe get one or two calls and then to okay. This is this is what happens when a regime is completely out of touch with reality of the common person. They are well fed and comfortable. far apart from the reality of the hawkers, border riders, the market vendors, etc. We must simply double our efforts in resisting the illegal regime. Wano yabadde reacting ku bbaluwa Museveni gye yawandiika ng'agamba nti we have received information that there are criminals moving around villages, especially in Western Uganda, masquerading.
All of a sudden, they are criminals.
Yeah, and traders. This practice of moving in villages, selling items should not be allowed as it's a source of insecurity. Those who want to do trade should do so in trading centers.
Ekigambo ekyasinga okunyiizamu eyo state gundi criminals, because tukuze tulaba abatembeeyi from day one ng'era beba tuleetera ebintu from far n'abikuleetera awakaawo nga togenze mu katale, togenze mu supermarket, togenze wa n'akikusanza w'oli.
Abamabaafu biki ebyo byonna.
Everything. Naye kati at this point in time, they are all of a sudden criminals. Ekishookinga kiri bwe kiti nti okay, they are criminals, but what led to their being criminals? I believe it is your system that did not create space for them to make sure that they don't turn out to be criminals. Nenga, in actual sense, they are not criminals. They are Ugandans trying to, okugezako kulaba nti they make something out of life. Ekinyiiza kiri ekintu kimu Fazil. Bagobye abantu bano nenne gye babasindika agawalayi. Kati ng'akatale ke Usafi. It can only accommodate abantu 1,300. Ate nga w'otunuulira abatembeeyi, choosing just Kampala alone, abatembeeyi ababeera mu Kampala on a daily basis, they are like, I believe, times 5 of that number. Times 5 of that number. Yes, times 5 of that number. Because during day, population-wise, Kampala is it 1.3? Now, yet during day, it's beyond the 3 million people. Bali abalala abajja bavaawa, abazza okutunda, abazza okola biki. Kati webagoba nga tobawadde option. Negye basindisi, nkugambe just Usafi, accommodating abantu 1,300. Ate nga 1,300 already gye bali bayitirivu nnyo. Ng'okufunayo omudaala anago gwa bbeeyi nnyo. It's really absurd. Naye nze sinenya Museveni, ojja kunsonyiwa Fazil, era sigenda kunenya KCCA, ngenda kunenya ffe Abannayuganda, because it is us that have not done enough to make sure that such a situation doesn't happen in our country. That is my take on that. Sigenda kunenya Museveni, ngenda kunenya ffe Abannayuganda, ffe tuganye okwebeereramu agawalayi, ffe tuganye okusituka. Omusajja ne bamenye ebizimbe ne tutunula butunuzi bwe tuti. I saw a video where Greta yabadde emenya neseba abantu nga they don't care. It's normal, It's just normal. I don't know your take on that. Naye nze I believe obuzibu buli ku ffe Bannayuganda.
No, I think for me, I think buno buzanyo bwa Museveni bwa press. These guys are playing. Yep, they're also playing it. Yeah, it has a press element in it. Because there is a gama omuntu ali mu kyalo. Ye wafe ebusiro. Ewamwe ebuddu. Mutogenda kola ki kutembeya. Who is going to enforce that?
Of course, no one.
No one is going to enforce that. But this is just to of which nti era bakikola to obanga webagamba bakanyuga ejjinja balabe ki happening, but it also has an element of PR. So chotujja kirwako, let us go to another post here. And yabadde ku
the press conference.
The press conference. In a nutshell, our message remains that as long as we have an illegal, illegitimate plundering regime which focuses all energies on regime survival, our people will continue to suffer as a result of these burdens. And I think yabadde catching up with the same Chobadde yogerako wali. At the same event, we received 100 people from Mukono constituency who crossed from different political parties, to join NUP and continue pressing alongside all of us to change in our country. The team was led honorable by Namboze. Tugende kweno ndowooza. Oyinza okusomawo.
You can see what Museveni's puppet, Donny Wanyama, has reduced the New Vision to. Worse than a tabloid. This is what happens when you personalize state institutions and appoint incompetent stooges to manage them. As we always say, it will take even more effort to rebuild our country than it will take to liberate it from the dictatorship. There is rot and decay everywhere. The other day, they lied that there was war in NUP, but had to hide their tails between their legs when they found us as solid as rock. Now they say there is a crisis over cash. Shameless sycophant. So scrolling him. Of course, they are so worried that NUP continues to grow in strength. They are also very sad that the NUP senior leaders have rejected Museveni's maneuvers to compromise them. They didn't imagine that any party would, for instance, reject iPod and all its benefits. This is how they had infiltrated and compromised many parties in the past. So, having failed in their schemes, they now resort to blackmail and propaganda. We are aware they have paid many journalists across different media houses and bloggers to attack, malign, blackmail, and propagate lies about NUP and its leadership. You will see more such stories coming out in the coming days. Our members and supporters should understand. Wansera.
Waggulu wansi.
Ogize. Kangire wano katono. Nyinza okuba njina wano.
Ekikyonyonya. Yino post wano kikyogamba.
Yeah. Our members and supporters should understand that it is their money, the taxpayers' money, being used to sponsor such propaganda and lies. Reject it with contempt. Such lies are, of course, also intended to divert our attention from more important issues. The incompetent regime does not want citizens to talk about the fuel crisis, the skyrocketing school fees, the persecution of hawkers and other low-income earners, etc. Their diversionary schemes will not work. We may soon have to take even a firmer stand and ask the people of Uganda to boycott all entities, public or private, which are in bed with Museveni furthering his oppressive agenda. I believe, Fazil, this topic this week, discussion is we're discussing about the same. Why not capitalize on that last statement?
Last statement, I think, about the long overdue a bit, and Bobi Wine has always been hesitant to call for boycotts.
Yes.
But I think whenever calling for boycott, it will really hurt Museveni so much, and especially institutions like Bukit Day, New Vision, Vision Group, blah blah blah, and people will fulfill it. For example, if you call for the boycott of Vision Group and you call for the boycott of Bukit Day, trust me. You can ask that gentleman called the Kabushengo. Was it Kabushengo or William Pike here? One way about one story about the Kabaka and the kingdom called for the boycott of Bukit. The people started buying the paper and the Gayus and the until they had to apologize, by the way. And it was really hurting their gundi, their margins. Kati it is a PR war because you can't say that NUP is in deep crisis over cash. You have other things, for example, in an Ojifula head story, they don't even have cover stories. Like twins are putting this as, so it means that of course NUP is a very powerful. If you're not a propaganda party, it means that it's a powerful party for it to make it at the top of the New Vision.
Nga tutunaba kuva ku point eyo Fazil. Lwaki tulina kulinda president akolinge for boycott?
No, I think you see the reason as to why that is important. Boycotts also need heads. Whenever he calls for it, Because when you call for a boycott, you as JB, we can boycott. I can boycott New Vision, right? But still, his added voice magnifies the entire boycott. Right? When we call for boycotts, it might receive mixed messages. For him, ayinza kale guys, let's not boycott to collect the I think after to boycott. So in the end of the day, it might split the camp. So, but if that is where it is leading, I think we shall see the signals. Whereas you can still you can boycott a few things here and there. Now, yeah, you could do when he calls for, because for him to call for a boycott, I know Kubanga all the evidence on these private and the public companies that these people are running. And that would take some bit of research and some bit of information than just coming out and say, okay, boycott this company. Yeah. So there could be, those issues. So I think you have to be very careful on that. But for New Vision, of course, you can see it is a crap paper, one way or the other. So we can roll to the next one if that's okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, no good day. Yeah. It is sad seeing comrades Waswa Sewanyana and Segini narrating to the court what they are going through in prison, to the extent that they are even contemplating doing the worst to themselves. Dictator Museveni and his accomplices should be the ones fearing citizens, but not the other way around. They should be the ones in prison for destroying our country and the future of its citizens, not those who are struggling to return it to the right track. Video courtesy New Vision. What's your take on this?
Actually, njagala, can you throwing up more light on that? Most especially the images. Omanyi, there is something abantu kye batamanyi nti obanga oli musibe ng'ojja mu kooti togenda kugira mu ngoye zo za busibe. Nalabye comments ezimu ez'abantu nga bagamba naye bano bali mu kkomera olw'okuba bamusaze enviiri, ayambadde saati njeru bulungi and all that kind of thing. Okiraba oli n'agamba naye bano bali mu kkomera ddala nga se babamu batandise n'okubuusabuusa. Njagala mbabuulire baganda bange nti you remember during the court sessions that involved the Kalangala saga y'abaganda baffe ba Edimute ba Geoffrey Mutalia, Babobi Yanga, that group, they used to come mu ngoye zaabwe eza bulijjo. Era nga babasaze enviiri babakozeeko, mukyajjukira president waffe mu 2018 baamukako okwambala engatte eyo naye ng'ate yali mu bulumi obw'amaanyi. So babaleeta mu kooti bwe bati. Of course, that's what they want the public to say. Naye nga the fact of the matter is bakomrades baffe bano baluddeyo nnyo mu kkomera ate nga tebalina musango nagumu gwe baakola. Ekyennyamiza nti Faziru tulinga abeerabira ensonga eno. I don't know naawe bw'okiraba naye nze ndaba nga abantu balinga abagenda bagivaako, which is not actually good. I don't know gwe okirabira mu angle ki?
You see, the thing is that just 1 minute here. Just 1 minute. Yeah, the thing is that Museveni is engaging us on different fronts so that we do not concentrate kuchimutu chiguse. Nti whereas tukyalwana olutalo n'olw'okugyayo baganda baffe makomera olw'esegirinya olw'ababaka baffe weruli, then you have olutalo lwa
propaganda
abantu. So much is happening.
Everything,
so, yeah, he's trying to divide the troops so that we don't concentrate on one particular issue. Okubanga tujiguza fuel prices, teachers, biki byonna kudda abaana ku masomero, that kind of stuff. So by keeping Halan Sewanyana and Segirinya behind bars, nga bwe babakookonya bwe bamuleetako mu kooti bwe babazaayo ne babaleetako mu kooti ne babazaayo. All these are tactics and tricks that Museveni is trying to play with, because nothing is really, the state is dysfunctional. There is nothing that is working in the state. For me, that is how I would literally view it. But at the end of the day, still, we have to continue demanding for their release. We have to continue demanding in one way or the other. But still, people are updated. It takes a lot of Because people, let me tell you, what musajja yawandika gundi yawandika article ng'ayogera on the fatigue of fighting Museveni nti tukekiseera n'owulira nga wetamiddwa n'owulira wekiboye ng'oyagala okiveeko ogenda olwandisa ekirala nga you need that adrenaline okitegeera kati tegeenya musajja wa
bintu biyitirira.
Yeah, you see that fatigue. What that fatigue brings, abantu bwe mutabeera bagumu kitandika okuleetera abantu okugamba nti oyo yalya Museveni and stuff like that. Because people are fatigued, and that is what Museveni wants. He wants to drain you. Ayagala abafuule nti ddala ddala, you know, mwetamwe to the extent that abantu bamwe mubavaamu ne mugamba nti no. You get it? Like that's literally fatigue. Just imagine what the secretariat and people who are taking us, what they have to go through, especially when they are fighting at all these battlefronts. It's not something easy.
Yeah. On that note, can never ziba comrades baffe, especially the NUP legal team, ekulemberwa muganda waffe Council Anthony Wameli, iranga utogera kati ali Boston. Actually, achetaga obuyambi of recent ka video ndoza mwakalaba aka appreciation era contact size kweziri abasobola keeping nga muwayo chimbwaddeyo. So legal team ya NUP ekoze omulimo gwa amaanyi okumakinga sure nti ba comrades baffe baddizi bw'eddembe lyabwe era nga mwe muli ba comrades bano ababiri Segirinya Muhammad ne Honorable Sewanya na Shamim Mwalende n'abalala bangi ba Council Lewis bangi nyonyo bali in the back bakola omulimo gwa amaanyi nnyo okumakinga sure nti they secure the freedoms of these two and very many others. Naye ate nga bakola omulimo ogwo, guys, naffe let's keep on amplifying our voices because it has always been pressure that we put up. Mukyajjukira pressure gye twateekawo ku Honorable Mubiru James, mukyajjukira pressure gye twateekawo ku bantu bangi nnyo ne babata. So it's the same pressure that we need to continue putting up. Tetugwamu maanyi kuba that is what the dictator wants. Yeah, tugende ku gundi endala.
Kano tujja kalaba bulabi tukayiteko.
Ko era bigambo tabisobola butakukula.
Nankabirwa. Going forward, I have instructed the Minister for Energy, the Honorable Nankabirwa, to direct the Commissioner in charge of Energy to investigate
Gosaga.
Going forward, I have instructed the Minister for Energy, the Honorable Nankabirwa, to direct the Commissioner in charge of Energy to investigate going forward,
ekigambo investigate naye chances akantu kano yatandise bulungi.
Yeah.
Like literally yatandise bulungi nga mukazi agenda kwogera ono n'ennyenje zikunkumuke. Going forward, I have inanyumyane kanye kanyezi.
Saba Minister Mulamba are part of the executive, are part of the cabinet, is the leader of the government business. Ya kwasaganya all activities za ministries zonna. Na yesebo nebimubula.
Nenga n'entebe ennyini terisitede singa kati entebe singa yagudde mukazi wa. Era nga tugamba ono naye bamuwadde butu.
Egwe. Soko okaddemu.
Oba yabadde overconfident ndowooza simanyi maama mukama Katonda.
I have instructed the Minister for Energy, the Honorable Nankabirwa, to direct the Commissioner in charge of Energy to investigate
Oh my God, agenda kuzaako kigambo ki?
To investigate. Ku investigating anoze ebitaliyo. Naye okulimba kubiye abaddangi oluzungu lonna like yalutadde mu ngoye. I think
Nazaawo ne nnoonya ekigambo kyeyadde ayagala okuzzaako ne kimbula agawalayi.
At least no yandikyogedde mu Luganda. Obudde yamaze bungi ndowooza ng'oba akola ki simanyi na kumanya.
No.
Kuba yabadde serious.
No, kati awo olabira abantu abatukulembera engeri gye bakolamu ebintu babikola gadi bengali. Office ng'eyo olina okuba ne secretary akukwandikira speeches nga tonabagenda before the press.
Yeah.
Akukolera arrangements zonna omuzindaalo guli okay gwogera bulungi. The technical team, the media team, but man, all of that. Ate nga batugamba ebifo anyway, okyajukira Faziru nti no yomu ne tayebwa abajjuza offices zaabwe ab'enganda zaabwe. You remember? Kati now you see the work of the relatives. That is the work of the relatives. Because abantu bali mu office ye balina omutegekera speech. Ne bagiyitamu ne bakakasa nti nno eri 100% okay to be released out to the media. Najja nagisoma naye kati yali awo beze bigambo abijja mutwe ne byayogera tabimanyi ali awo n'ekigenda mu maaso takimanyi era nakomekereza nga agawalayi ayogedde ekintu ekituufu nti ebigambo bikoze eki bimbuze sitegeera kikigenda mu maaso. Nze nanoonya
raises the point nonje kubanga she recently hired her family friends and family ab'Uganda abakona ab'emikwano.
Yes, we talked about that.
What we heard is that inti Gaya yakuteka video kano bamugobye leave
suspend
katuzanye omulundi gumu tugende ku point endala.
In forward, I have instructed the Minister for Energy, the Honorable Nankabirwa, to direct the Commissioner in charge of energy to investigate. Going forward,
tugende ku post endala naye up to now kyanoonya ekigambo kyayagala okwongerezaako kyambula.
Okay. Uganda prisons doctor confirms that author Kakwenza Lukulia Bashaija has scars of wounds on the back, buttocks, thighs, and hands. Overwhelming evidence of torture at the hands of the SFC. Simply unacceptable. There must be accountability for these crimes against humanity. So, Barua Jebawandise Gabaraga nti Kakwenza yakoze bamutokyalinga ebifaanana ng'ebyo katu musabire inshallah jakutereera. I think we roll on to the next one because it was geography as well last week. I think it was a follow-up, but we can roll on to kano kabadeka video tukalabe kale
ako nako tusobola okukalaba
tulabeka dakiika ng'emu, then you can give a statement. That's Kasim Owooma, because this is important. I don't think they just post, but this is also important. And let's see.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Let us start your pride. Let us start your pride.
Okay.
Mm.
Omanyi obanga kuba nti of course weekend workout with world champions from the ghetto, Robinson Mudde Ntambi, ghetto coach, and Kasim Ouma,
the dream.
catching up with the old vibes, homeboys. Kasim Ouma Mumanyi. Like, of course, most of us have, followed Kasim Ouma and Robinson. I think this, Ganti, people, when people get into positions, most people lose that element of being humble. Okuba nti beetwalira waggulu okitegeere, but I think mukulu Kyagulanyi okuba nti he can even have abantu baffe baganda baffe bano aba bulijjo okuba nti kati nga coach Ntambi okuba nti abaggulirawo ewaka ne bajja and they have that sort of camaraderie. Mukulu Kasim Ouma, it connects with the idea of being humble. Neri abantu bawansi oba abantu babulijjo. That's really, really important, by the way. And most people cannot see that. But for me, oli ayogera nti lwaki mulowooza Museveni adiringa ne bafolo figure abaani n'ayogera nabo who is, of course Museveni is getting all that from Bobi Wine. Bobi Wine Chakola, what is happening in Bobi Wine's camp, it is what Museveni is literally copying and pasting. Exactly, that's what he's doing. Museveni likes to be normal. Normal. But for the past 35 years, he has acted abnormally. All of a sudden, in the last 3 years, he has wanted to act normal.
Nekubisa ekifaananyi ne bamupaintinga wali simanyi Museveni simanyi from the ghetto. Natunulira ekifaananyi.
And people were asking for the past 30 years, where have you been?
Wabula.
All of a sudden you have remembered us and kakati gwe waffe.
Atandise n'okuba pressure up.
Akubye pressure up. Akoze addu sadde nadde eri musajja wattu.
Yetawudde museta naye nga olwo nakukola kikuimpressinga abavubuka. Ali completely out of is completely disconnected, of course, from this generation. Naye akyagala okuzimba bondi ye yakutuka tekyasobola kuddamu kuyunga.
Of course, I think his is kind of like chiforcing.
Of course, yes, chiforcing, of course.
But this comes very natural as it can get. Unless if you have something to add on that, we can move on to the next.
Nze President ayinamu, I don't know, ka video yako nakalabye ayinamu. Ayinamu.
Okay, let us hear omukulu ono.
It's always never easy. A good fight is worth it. Big up yourself, God. Keep up the fight. It's always never easy. A good fight is worth it. Keep it up, Virgin. Right there, That's
one love. Thank you.
Keep up the good fight. Good fight is worth it. Never comes easy. It's humbling to get a message of encouragement from you, the legendary Beres Hammond, to fight on. Your magical songs like Putting Up Resistance. Can you play some more? They can talk. They're gonna talk. Rock Away, A Little More Time, Rise and Shine, African People, The Truth Will Live On, and many tunes still inspire generations. You can be sure that we will continue putting up the resistance. That is a message coming right away, I think, from Jamaica. So you see, this is the impact of Bobi Wine on Ugandan music. Like any international artist today, you cannot talk about Ugandan music without talking about Bobi Wine. Lojja kutunuulira nti bano bonna be twali tulowooza nti bamaanyi internationally ba Eddie Kenzo baani bonna no one is
govanga ku musajja ngono kwogerako musajja baaliwo mu myaka gy'ekyenda yatandika okuyimba mu 1970 1970
wow
climax yagiyina in the 90s naye kati sebo message agisindikira Bobby Wine.
I see. Okay, more songs are coming through. This one was from Menton Russ. You can go and follow and watch.
Yeah, that one I watched as well.
Watch
on
YouTube.
Kati kiti kinadde nkugamba Fazil nti music yachuka. Tojja kuwulira. I've never heard a song from our comrades nga bye biri bye twawulirizanga luli. Onyimba zonna kati zirina sense, zirina amakulu. Zirina sense, zirina amakulu, which is quite interesting. We used not to listen to such kind of music previously.
Okay. And also Jackson and we wrap it up.
So could you take a cow? Oh, okay.
Hey, Nako.
Can you take a one?
Okay, yeah.
Can you take a one on scrolling?
Can.
Okay. Yeah, Egamba, we've learned with the sorrow the passing of Professor Emmanuel Tumusime Mutebile. Professor Mutebile was a distinguished economist who served Uganda in different capacities before rising to the position of Governor, Bank of Uganda. Professor Mutebili's life and work proves the point we always make that Uganda is blessed with some of the most excellent professionals who unfortunately work with a corrupt, inefficient government. Despite some of its notable achievements under his tenure, the central bank has not been spared of regime interference with the public institutions. We, for example, recall Professor Mutebile publicly speaking of how he was misled by the regime to fund the 2011 elections. We also recall the scandals that rocked the Bank of Uganda in the recent years, leading to loss of billions of taxpayers' money. In a situation where institutions are personalized by a corrupt regime, it is difficult to avoid such scandals, regardless of the intentions and the expertise of the officials leading them. It is very sad that Professor Mutebile has joined the long list of prominent Ugandans who have had to breathe their last on foreign land, most frequently in Nairobi, Kenya. There has been no serious effort to uplift the few healthcare facilities in the country, reason why many people who can afford will be on the next flight for better treatment abroad. We must make a conscious effort to reverse this trend. On my behalf and on behalf of the National Platform, I send the deepest condolences to Professor Mutebili's family and loved ones. May his soul rest in peace. Bweto mukulu Faziru bwebadde era nga Mutebile ye olunaku olwaleero saazi badde meka 11
ndowooza
bw'asiibudde ensi eno.
I mean, Uganda's economy is fascinating. Of course, bank governor asobola okufa oba n'avaawo and nothing literally happens. The markets are not shaken and stuff like that. I don't know what that means. Did it mean Mutebile had done a good job, or does it mean that Mutebile didn't have power? Mutebile didn't have the power and as a governor, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. Or does it mean that literally Uganda's economy is bad? Naishe manyiko maybe to Mutebile is the idea and he if you're following the economics of Uganda, he has managed to stabilize the Ugandan shilling.
The shillings?
Yep, shilling yeyo. Nali nsubira, especially after COVID, yali likely okubanga enanuka. But it failed. But also scandals zefe natuzimanyi ez'abasajja balaba z'okuba nti yamucompensating obuwumbi bw'essente of which it was illegal. okubibwa kwa ssente mu Bank of Uganda, ssente zaali zikubidde Germany, ssente then oluvannyuma ne zibula ng'ebintu tebitegeerekeka. What Museveni likes, ayagala nnyo abantu abamusanitizing, abamulegitimizing. He likes these so-called professionals, abantu abali skillful. No doubt Mutebi is one of the most intelligent Ugandans that we have ever had in terms of economics and finance, by the way. So people should know that. But the reason as why Museveni wants these people Okuba on his side is because it makes him look Okuba nti naye byakola abitegeera, ate it covers him, it gives him cover. The other good example gye njokuwa ye governor gwe bali bayita what's his name? Dr. Sulaiman Chigundu. He was a very intelligent gentleman, very intelligent. Ye yali bank governor by the time Museveni Rebajja mu bukulembeze, and he was the one in charge of the structural readjustment programs ezaliwo that the World Bank zeyagamba okuteeka ku Uganda. But when Mr. Chigundu left, n'atandikawo banka ye Greenland Bank, n'atandika investments ze, Museveni now making sure he doesn't earn anything out of his work. Ate n'ekyokuba of course yali Muganda, that would not have, but baali tebayinza mukkiriza. Mr. Chigundu died a very poor man. Now Mutebi has been a very rich man, by the way, people should know that. But Museveni was always chobola nti newe yalwadde nga takyasobola na kutambula, nga he was just cared for.
Yeah.
Walabira ddala nti he wanted
pushing okusigalawo
because he gives him that image that he needs internationally. Because at times when the IMF is going to give you money, as well as World Bank, they look into who are the people that are working at the Bank of Uganda. So you cannot just have any military general to be at the Bank of Uganda. You need someone at the level of professor. Chobola Bakasekende had to be pushed out. Chobola Bakasekende recently bamujjawo because he was yalinga ayali most likely okusikira Professor Oyuguni Mukulu Mutebire. But ne bamuzannya ebintu bye Kasekende, and he was pushed out literally. Kati ono guy nze kyemanyiko is that he did well for the shilling, and most people do not understand how currency works. The Ugandan currency is backed by the US dollar. In buli dollar wawona nti wabanga China so many dollars in circulation, our currency loses value.
Fazil, njagala okinnyonnyole oyingizeemu okirapping mangu nnyo n'ekya gold. Kuba recently twakozesanga gold. Kati kirappingirawo because the other time it was being gold nga mu biseera by'abamansa munsa bwe baava emmali ne bagenda wa batuuka wa gold nga gubakozesa. Naye kati twadda mu shilling. Njagala okirappingirawo.
Okay, kakati what people should understand is
yes,
money. Simanyi if I have a piece of currency here. Yeah, I think I have one. Now, this is a British currency. Akapapula kasente nusu tano ez'Abongereza. Akapapula kano, if I take it to Mars, kaba tekaina value. Okitegera. What makes this currency to be kiki ekigifuula okuba nti nene sente, kiki ekifuula okuba nti sente eno abantu bagittira oba bagikolerera oba batambuza okuva Uganda ne bajja ku mawanga gano? This is just a mere piece of paper, but why is it lwaki y'amaanyi? Okitegeera? It is one thing, trust. Now, before the coming of paper money, try to cause barter trade nga tuwanyisiganya. Nenkuwa essimu nompa ettaka oba nenkuwa emmere nompa kino, barter trade. But then weba abantu ne tutandika okukozesanga gold ne silver, ne tutandika minting coins nga tukola ebinusu okuva mu zaabu ne feeza. Then we twaba mu zaabu ne feeza, bano waliwo family y'Abayitali bagiyitanga the Medicis. Ba Medicis be batandika okukozesanga kyetuyita banking, be batandikawo banking systems. Be batandikawo banking systems in global. That is when we started the seeing of manufacturing of paper money. But the idea of paper money oba gye tuyita zino ensimbi ez'obupapula zaatandikira mu nsi z'Abawarabu nga balina system gye baakozesa nga bagiyitanga hawara nga oli akuwandiikira akapapula n'ogenda in a certain region nga olina ebintu by'oyagala oggulayo ng'olagayo akapapula ako ng'eringa promissory note n'okamuwa agent oyo, then agent oyo n'akusobola okuba nti n'akufunira goods. But it's a long story, but let me get to the issue of gold. Kakati gold we bakimanya nti it is a very good mineral, and then the issue of currencies nejjawo. What the people did in those days, the superpowers, that is the British, French, and the Americans, buyinanga paper money. Naye nga ekifuula paper money yaabwe okubanga ya bbeeyi oba okubanga erina value ya maanyi, this money was backed up with gold. Tuyita gold standard. Okitegeera nti nga sente ziri mu circulation obanga sente zo okuba ne value, it must be backed up with something. Ng'omuntu osobola okgenda n'okwata sente zino n'oziwanyisaamu in your bank, and then the bank would give you that particular gold, oba ne bank nayo negula gold in circulation nebanga regulatinga inflation n'ebintu ebifaanawo one or the other, the gold standard. But then all of a sudden the gold standard had problems as population increased, as wars happened, and financial crisis in 1920s na biki, most of the countries started getting out of the gold standard. Gold standard. Countries like the United Kingdom, as well as the countries like the United States of America, Yavamu gold standard under the Nixon era, I think in 1970s, as well as the French also got out of the gold standard because all of a sudden they were losing out on a lot. I think there wasn't enough gold to back up their currencies. So literally their economies were going to crumble. They did not have enough gold. And the other fascinating thing is that there is more gold in Africa today. So many countries have African gold. So many countries have gold, but their currencies are not strong. Why?
Yeah.
Now the answer to that question is simple. When America withdrew out of the gold standard under the Nixon era, just in order to control their economy, they made sure that most third world countries and developing countries, or the new African states, or the new states at the time, they had to use the mighty dollar as their backup currency
instead of gold.
What makes America a superpower in the world is because that most of the countries in the world and Africa, they use the US dollar as their backup currency. Oba kituyita reserve currency. The Ugandan shilling is backed up by the dollar. No, by the dollar, not gold.
Sorry, not gold, but dollar. Yeah.
Uganda, its gold deposits. I don't know where those gold are. Bank of Uganda is responsible for our gold, by the way. People should know that. But to this day, we don't know what is the story with Uganda's gold. Anyway, so going to the issue, when we transitioned in gold standard to fiat, now Uganda has to be backed up by the US dollar. But what happens, the role of Mutebile was to regulate number one, to regulate inflation, that is regulating other currency, you had to just strike a balance in one way or the other. Because if the shilling loses value, the prices of goods is going to skyrocket, as it was in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe batukesera ne bakubisa a trillion kumi akagundi until they could until they could print no more, and then they just had to forego the currency altogether, and they had to make sure anti basigaranachi na because it's South African rand as well as the United States dollar. Yeah. The same thing is happening in Venezuela. Venezuela has one of the world's largest deposits of oil. Now Venezuela has no currency as we speak today. Now, the role of Mutebile, the reason as to why Zimbabwe lost its currency, Mugabe did a very stupid move. The economy of Zimbabwe was under the arms of the whites. Abazungu bebalinga bahandlinga Zimbabwean economy. What happened was that the economy crashed. Because wogoba abazungu, no investors are going to come into the country. If investors are not coming into the country, it means that there is no foreign currency that is going to come, especially the gold that you need into your reserve banks. So the investors were scared, number one, to go to Zimbabwe. Number two, aid was cut off. Zimbabwe was put under sanctions. When you take under sanctions, it could literally not survive. And so its currency started to crumble. Chocolate, when they were back at a cent, farmers abazungu were sharing, they gave them to incompetent people that could no longer run them. At the end of the day, most of these farms crashed, and in the end, the entire economy crumbled. Now, Oyaja Kubuza, okay, so how does the dollar work and Nabichi? Now, there are two things that people use. The strongest currency in Africa is the Libyan dinar. The Libyan currency is the strongest. I think it's even stronger than the British pound. But the reason as to why it is strong, any country can come out to the news of okay, the Ugandan shilling, one Ugandan shilling is equal to one US dollar, or one Ugandan shilling is equal to one British pound. Now, when you do that, or you know Kubanga, or you have something that is backing you up, for example, you must be having so many deposits of oil or mineral resources or things like that in order to back up your currency, not just the dollar. That is what Libya had. Libya has one of the best oil in the world. So Libya can literally regulate its currency. Again, and every turmoil they have been in, the Libyan currency has remained strong. Libya has a social service system. People were being given money in Libya, the Kamwani money, because their currency was strong. Currencies ez'abu Middle East sente zaabwe nazo z'amaanyi olw'ensonga nti balina amafuta, so they back up their economy. Sorry, they back up their currencies with the economy. The thing that I learned about Mutebile, what he usually did, for example, when COVID they had to go to the US Reserve Bank and order I don't know how much money it was, but they bought something like $2 billion never take into Bank of Uganda as the reserve currency. Now, what that means is they can always regulate the exchange rate, and people who are going to buy things in Japan, China, they can always go to the foreign exchange. Always should be there, because China
Uganda.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Foreign currency. So for Museveni, because his economy has been poor, there is no investment that is coming in. Chovola banti namwe abanauganda bali mu diaspora mubadde mukola kyamaanyi nnyo okusindika ssente ezo. Buli we musindika ssente ezo, the government earns foreign exchange. Tubadde tusindika roughly, I think, $1 billion per year as Ugandans living in the diaspora, and that money is received in US dollar. Because when it comes in, there is a financial transfer system that is called SWIFT. SWIFT, Kastaba Kuba sanctions, SWIFT tosobola gikozesa. Chovola when they hit you.
Kuba sanction is SWIFT egenderamu.
Oh yeah, egenderamu. That is the system that is used globally, owned by the United States. Used globally.
Buli bank ebera ne SWIFT code yayo.
To do those transactions, to do things that you find out. So Kakati, the money, every money that is transferred globally, it goes through that SWIFT system. SWIFT is an American system. Kati, all the money you send in Uganda, of course, Ugandans are sending money back home and stuff like that. So that helps to regulate the currency. Recently, it really hurt them really bad, in one way or the other. Now, Mutebile, what the other thing he did, he warned Uganda not to print money from Kampala, because when you print money from your own country, you go haywire. But it is where you just print, you don't regulate yourself. Because Museveni's government is very reckless. Now that's what he did. Well, he has his shortfalls, but when it came to Okubanti, he could, when it came to doing his job well, he knew what to do. And the reason as why Museveni, I think, kept him so badly is the idea, and he was good at regulating the shilling. Because with the turmoil that has been happening in Uganda, it had to fall, it had to stretch, it had to fall. I really thought that it was going to fall, but I don't know what magic they used.
Okay, Kati,
stayed afloat.
Wobeera ng'oyogedde ebirungi by'omusajja ono olinga agamba nti abantu beeraliikirire.
No, no. What I'm trying to understand, what I'm trying to tell people here is most people might not understand the role of the currency. Yes. Currency okusigala ng'ekyali afloat, okusigala ng'ekyalina value. Into $1 is equal to 3,500 Ugandan shillings for the past almost 15 or whatever 6 years. It is that it is. For example, if you see £1, single pound from £1, nebanga pound yemu equaling to 10,000 shillings, then manya nti the currency is bad. But we also sindika sente Uganda nolaba exchange rate ngegende yambuka waggulu manya nti no, the money is losing value. But with the exchange rate reka no sindika dirham emu nga dirham emu evaamu maybe eza Uganda 15. Things might be good. Naye dirham emu kasita kagitanda nebuuka netandika okuyingira 15,000 netandika okuyingira nti buli dirham emu egenda kuyingira $2,000. That is bad news. Kubanga chiba kitegeeza the Ugandan money is losing value. Chiba kitegeeza the savings that you are having in your bank wubanga obadde oyinayo tugeze 1 dirham equals to $2,000. Kitegeeza $2,000 jiba tegikyali $2,000. Jiba jigenda kwesala by 10% or something like that. Okitegeera. So you might even have currency devaluation na biki nti oyinza okuzukuka enkya ng'abadde alina obukadde 10 mu bank ng'olinayo $2,000 oba nga basazeeko zero. They devalue the currency okitegeera so that to keep the currency afloat. But if people lose value in the currency, if investors lose value in that particular currency, literally you have nothing to tell the world. So that's what I thought that it was likely to happen with Mutebile, but I was fascinated. Sorry, with the Ugandan government, but I was fascinated to see the shilling was kept afloat in Uganda. For some reason, I don't know what they did, but I understand they bought so much money, so many US dollar. Bagula dollars impitirivu nnyo from the US.
Bagula nyingi ezo zali sort of containing a situation. Bagula mpitirivu.
Ate jukira ebiseera ebyo abantu baali tebasuubula nga tebagenda China na biki.
Anti baali mu lockdown jukira nga bali waka. Borders zili closed.
And also the other thing that brings in the foreign currency that Museveni needs is this money zafuna okuva mu donors. And for example, US government webange wa Uganda aid tezuwa mu shillings oba tezuwa mu euros, ezuwa mu US dollars. If your European Union is giving Uganda money, bazigabira mu euros. Chobola bajagamba Uganda bajiwale 232 euros. Now, this is a mechanism that these countries also use to regulate their currencies. You offload some of the currencies, then offload them in third world countries and then get interest on that particular money. Now, the other idea is even the Britain, where government sent is gabila mu pounds. Tezigabira mu dollars over euros. Why? Because they are also trying to regulate their currency. And what is interesting here is you should look at how this credit system all works. The reason as to why they give us Olusa Mabanja is not because they want to help out Africa. It is because they are working to regulate their currencies, by the way. That's what most people do not understand. Because wowa Uganda million kumi eza dollar as a banja to build roads and stuff like that. Jukira wawe Twitter debt financing to finance that particular debt or could you processing and abichi, that is debt financing. It is a lot of money to finance that particular debt. On top of that, you have to pay the interest. On top of that, you have to pay the loan back. Oshitegera kakati mbulira goba ofunira muwa. Literally, where are you earning? Let me tell you one thing. There is something here, something called a mortgage. It's called, I think in Latin, it's called the devil's trap. A mortgage, that is what it is. The way credit institutions, abantu abawola sente, the way it works. Well, documentary ku YouTube bajita Frontline, bajita the credit something, and how credit companies or credit cards work. Banabagaba loans. They hate paying back loans. They hate when people pay back loans. They want someone to default. And when you default on your first payment, that's it. They increase the interest rate. Katuwanga waliwe ku 10%. The interest rate is going to increase to up to 20%. That's what they want. And when they do that, they are regulating their currencies and their economies as well as, whereas on the other hand they are crumbling
family endala mu kiseera kino tubidde n'omuntu waabwe yali yagenda mu ggwanga lya Saudi Arabia okukuba ekyeyo wabula ne bamugyamu ensigo nga kati embeera mwalimbi ddala katubirabe.
Judith Nakintu.
Sorry.
No, that's no problem. Yeah.
No,
so
but then you uploading a video.
Yeah, so that's literally what usually happens with the currency. You just need to learn how the currencies work. And if you, I mean, that's why you see that Bobby Wine, of course, has spoken something about him. He has listed his positives as well as his negative. The traps.
First year, but they're so balanced. It is a jitegate over. But they're so balanced, very, very, very well balanced.
Yeah, so that's what you could say about the man. Like you can say about more other people like the Nsibambis, Nabas, elites, and you know, that's what for me I think.
Chiri Bobby Wine kyagambye kuba akoze statement eyo n'agamba kamale osologizaako kaawo.
Yeah.
Era statement gy'akoze mu post ye yagambye and it is very sad that Professor Mutebile has joined the long list of prominent Ugandans who have had to breathe. No. I believe Ewasoka. Yeah, Professor Mutebile's life and work proves the point we always make that Uganda is blessed with some of the most excellent professionals who unfortunately work with a corrupt, inefficient government. Despite, Judge Tegeza, they have been keeping track of all these few achievements Mutebile is achieving the Mumiaka Gino Jamazenga Ali Governor Bank of Uganda. So mukuru yagamba nti tajja kuvaako naye nga mukulabako tetulinayo muntu mulala asobola kusinga Mutebile.
Of course, there are so many. Paul Kasekende, the former deputy bank governor, he's a if you want an institution, one of the most intelligent Ugandans ever there is Bank of Uganda. Trust me. Even his predecessor, the likes of Dr. Sulaiman Chigundu. Like Sulaiman Chigundu was an intelligent economist, highly trained. Like literally, was a very good guy. Museveni has understood one thing: for a dictatorship to survive, you must make sure he doesn't want to do the mistake that Mugabe did to crumble the economy. That's why you see that he's bringing in so many Indians as well as Chinese to create these so-called factories and stuff like that in order to help him with the currency. That's what he's doing. Local producers, local investors now. He's putting more emphasis on the foreign middle low-income investors. And that is, of course, helping him to keep his economy to survive, on a yearly basis in one way or the other, especially with the Uganda. Chovola, they even entice them by telling the investors that tujabare repatriating 100% of your profits without even reinvesting those profits into Uganda for as long as you bring the capital here and muzukoze sawano, we don't care. So that to entice them. Shukuraganti is giving them more what? Is giving them more things to attract them to come and work within his government, because that's what he needs, especially for them to bring in the foreign currency to balance his shilling one or the other. That's what I think.
Okay, I believe Ochimanyi tubadde wani sawa bili twagambe tugenda kwera sawa.
I know to one with I think we should now wind it up and just close it down.
Badde njagala tuogere ku gundi eno naye ndowooza it will be for another day.
It should be for another day.
Yeah. Badde maze uploading ayo naye it will be for another day kuba budde bugenze.
Kale tukogere I think another day. I think tusibula batulaba. And then we shall try to make it better next time.
Chichi tutunulidde mu weekend egenda okutandika, because Mundabayo.
I think kino ekyamuhoza okugenda e Rwanda, most people are going to hop onto it. Bagenda kukyogerako nnyo.
Kuba media ekiremeddeko nnyo babitunze nnyo bagezezaako nnyo kiguza abantu wadde nti it is not a diplomatic visit naye bakiforcinze abantu bakikkirize nti it is a diplomatic visit. Waiswa Mufumbiro gyo yakugambye it is even illegal.
Capacity gye yatambuliddemu ngaani.
Yeah. Ngani.
But if we are to say, for example, if we are to get into Museveni's head, if it is not a PR stunt, okay? If it is not a PR stunt.
Okay, you are just assuming.
And just assuming what are they planning. I think they are trying to link it up with the entire East African community thing. The fact that they admitted the Congo, Okubanti Yingiramu East African community. So they are trying to see that how can they pull up Museveni's economy so that Rwanda does not intervene, so that Rwanda doesn't, cause any trouble on whatever they are planning to do, especially the Congo. So that's what they are, trying to iron out. But on the other hand, you should look at Kagame and think, okay, can Kagame really take Muhoozi serious? Number one, like can Kagame really sit and look at this junkie Aberako Twitter that is always tweeting and whatever he's putting out there? Can he really take Muhoozi's word for his word? Now Kagame might have at the back of his mind that Muhoozi, maybe Museveni is grooming him to be president, to be the next in line as a dictator, but still. The fact that Kagame has been spying on Museveni and doing all this kind of stuff, he knows the inside game well and good. So it's not as simple as it is, because by sending Muhoozi, Kagame understands very well. He doesn't want also to be undermined. Okay, you send me your sons. Is this the best you can do? Or is the son just passing by to say hello? And also to see, of course, he was wearing a suit and, wearing a suit in Abichi, Uganda Airlines. I don't know how much money. I don't think there were any passengers on the airline privately, because there's no Uganda Airlines doesn't fly to Kigali. So, because if there was something to be discussed, it would not have taken one day, especially given the fact that in Tivisi between Uganda and Rwanda, we were there for over 2 years now. So you cannot tell me that it only took 1 day.
1 day for them to be solved.
To solve
PR.
It's definitely PR. Yeah.
It's PR.
Yeah.
Fazil, sibula abantu tuve wano.
Tusinkane week ejja inshallah. Tunga twogera ku binaba bibaddewo. Tweyanza nnyo.
Guys, mubeere bulungi, mwebale kubeerako abadde ku mikutu egy'enjawulo. I believe we've been streaming on over 60 platforms. Wherever you're watching from. 60? Yeah, above 60. Thanks for being on. It has been more than 2 hours and 2 hours and 7 minutes. Mubeere bulungi, mweraba.
Oh, okay. Bye-bye.